さて、始めるか。
Book by Glyphosate. He's a PhD biochemist.
Yeah.
It's called Soil, Grass, and Cancer. His hobby was raising dairy cattle. And the reason why he wrote the book was he was really struggling with the fact that copper wasn't getting into the grass, and it wasn't getting into the milk, and it wasn't getting into his customer's body, and they were getting cancer. And there's meticulous diagrams in his book to back this up. But NPK blocks copper uptake in the root system. That was done right after the First World War. Oh, where did the NPK come from? Oh, the munitions that they made for the war were being fired up by NPK. What a coincidence, right? And then we had in the 1987, everything changed around the world with the introduction of Roundup, also known as glyphosate. And we'll, I'm sure in subsequent conversations, talk about that. But that's the most powerful copper chelator on planet Earth. And it chelates copper. The chelation of minerals is rated on a logarithmic scale. So we know the difference, like in hurricanes. A hurricane of 3 is very different than a hurricane of 12. Well, glyphosate chelates magnesium and calcium at a 3. It chelates copper at 11.9. What does that mean? It means that it's pulling copper out of the soil 1 billion times faster. And we can't relate to that kind of speed. There was a time when I could run an 8-minute mile. And at that same time, my younger son ran a 4:02 mile. Almost broke the 4-minute record. And I thought of that wonderful book, The 4-Minute Mile. But that was twice as fast. We can't relate to 1 billion times faster. And the tragedy is most people don't even know what glyphosate is. They don't know that it's a blanket all over the planet and that it's changing the chemistry of our soil and our food and our body because of its power to chelate copper.
Yeah, that's terrible because Dr. Seneff's been on the channel twice, and I think, she obviously knows a lot about everything, so she'll know. But again, just to reiterate how bad glyphosate really is, because sometimes people just switch off, but then they kind of, once they start to learn, oh yeah, copper's so important, and you can't just take a copper supplement, you've got to find out what in my body is making the problem, which we'll go into in the next podcast, and how can I test it? Because yes, there is a serum copper lab, but there's also seroplasmin, because I ordered the labs suggested in your protocol. So it's, like you said, sometimes when there's numbers to look at, it can help sort of people understand that they can't just guess, or, measuring can be really helpful, and there's something they can do about it. But also I think if somebody was, say, deficient in copper, they just taking more copper and not dealing with the glyphosate and all of the other things that we're going to talk about more, and the vitamin D supplements and the zinc supplements and the other things which mess up this very delicate balance, because there's a whole host of things which you'll go into.
I've done 7,500 consults with people over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'll go out on a limb, Sarah, and suggest everyone who's listening to this program is copper deficient.
Yeah.
And everyone listening probably has too much iron. We'll explain why I'm so strident about that. But it's what I've been able to do over the years is really begin to isolate these 2 critical minerals. And then there's a third, magnesium.